Why play Twitch bot? Well, his damage is incredibly high. He wins teamfights by himself with insane AoE. He's simply terrifying to play against, and for an ADC he can make plays by himself. However, his early game is weaker, and he has little mobility outside of movement speed. Twitch's passive makes his attacks apply venom stacks on his target. These deal true damage per second over 6 seconds and can be stacked up to 6 times. Twitch's Q causes him to enter camouflage and gain movement speed for a good chunk of time. The movement speed increases while near an enemy champion that can't see him, and after exiting the camouflage, Twitch gains a massive amount of attack speed for 5 seconds. When a champion dies with venom stacks active on them, this ability is refreshed, allowing Twitch to reset and spam it in teamfights. Twitch's W throws a flask which leaves a circle on the floor. Enemies hit gain a venom stack and are slowed, and enemies in the circle remain slowed and receive a venom stack each second. Twitch's E deals damage to all enemies nearby affected with the venom passive, and this ability will deal additional damage per stack of venom on the target. Twitch's ultimate causes him to gain a huge amount of attack range and flat attack damage. His attacks become piercing bolts for 6 seconds which deal damage to all enemies they pass through, dealing slightly less damage the more targets they pass through. For combos, you want to start most fights invisible, sneaking into a good position. Throw W followed by your ultimate and then spam out attacks. Use E when you can get the most damage, and of course with any kills use Q again to gain the camouflage if needed, but also to reset the movement and attack speed. For matchups, Twitch does very well into scaling carry, so he can also scale against while assassinating them. However, he can struggle against hard lane bullies early. For runes, take this, lethal tempo is just too good. For build order, start Blade and Bot into Bork, tier 2 boots and a Kraken Slayer. Following this, a Hurricane, Infedge and Lord Doms will give you everything you need, however these can also be good situationally. For skill order, start Q, then E, then W before maxing E, then Q, then W, taking ult whenever you can. For summoner spells, take Flash and Heal, but Exhaust works well if you can easily assassinate your opponents. Starting the game, this is Twitch's worst point, but this is also when a lot of other bot laners are at their weakest, which gives him a lot of options to play with. Your main focus will simply be on farming hard and scaling into a late game monster, but you do have access to very good trades. An auto attack into W and E is a good amount of harass damage, especially with the passive ticking. Otherwise, when going for extended trades, you always want to make sure you have the attack speed buff from your Q, so make sure to start every fight in a very sneaky way. When you hit level 6, you now have serious kill pressure. If you're able to start a fight by sneaking into your own lane or even flanking into your own lane, slowing multiple targets with W and then opening up with your ultimate can be an absolute insane amount of damage. This combined with any CC from your support to stop their disengage can give you an insane amount of kill pressure. And the great thing with Twitch is if you ever get ahead, your opponents now have to give you a serious amount of respect. They'll never know if you're sneaking up on them, which means even if you're on base, they will struggle to come out to the lane in fear of you just being there and assassinating them. Entering the mid game, you're looking to take tower and roam mid as soon as possible to start sieging the mid tower. Not only are you great at sieging and taking towers, but having you and your support in the mid lane gives you a massive amount of map control, giving 2 champions the ability to roam to objectives and fights as needed. Entering late game team fights, Twitch can now dominate as long as he keeps himself safe. You want to play the backline carry, starting every fight with a Q for the massive attack speed buff. Following this, throw out your flask and then choose the best angle to start shooting as many champions as possible with your ultimate. It won't take long until most targets evaporate under your insanely high damage. And then of course with every takedown, use Q to gain your movement speed, reset your attack speed buff and chase down any runaway opponents.